Okay, welcome back. Today in my Math 116 class, we're going to go over section 12.5, which deals with circles. Now, circles, there's several different aspects of circles I want to hit. I want to just hit a little intro on the circles, talk about circumference, talk about the area, and then give a couple of examples that kind of dig more in than just area and circumference. So, circles. Now, at any point of this video, you can continue to pause it, come back to it, do it as many times as you want. Okay, circle. Now, there's two circles that I have right here. One of them is a line that goes all the way through. The other one stops right in the middle. Okay, the first one, this is the diameter. And half the diameter is the radius. Now, one thing with circles, it's 360 degrees. That's the angle, 360 degrees. So in my example, I'm trying to find an angle, but I know one of them's 100 and one of them's 160. So what I can do is I can say, okay, I could take, to find x, I can take 360, subtract 60, and subtract 100. And by doing so, you should get 200 degrees. Now, circumference. Circumference is the distance around the circle, or you can think of it as the perimeter. Here are the two formulas you can use. You can use C as circumference. So circumference is pi times diameter, or it can be 2 pi times radius. So if you're given the diameter, you can just multiply by pi to find the circumference. If you know the radius, you can just take it times pi and then multiply it by 2. So I'll give you an example. Find the circumference where the radius is 4. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the second formula because that's got my radius. So I'm going to say C equals 2 times pi times 4. Now, if they ask you to put this in with significant digits, know that most of these programs are going to use 3.14. So what you have to do in multiplication, you remember you have to take and count up all the decimals. Well, in this case, we just have 2 decimals, the point and then 1/4. The 2 over here and the 4 has 0. So if I multiply this together, if I multiply the 2 times the 3.14 times the 4, you should get 25.1 inches rounded. Okay, what about if you had to find R when you know the circumference? Well, the circumference is going to be 35.68. Now I'm going to set it equal to, since I know, or I'm trying to find R, I know I'm going to use a 2 times, I'm going to put 3.15 for my pi, and I'm trying to find R. So what I can do is 35.68 equals 2 times 3.14 is 6.28 times R. Then I want to divide it. So my radius comes out to be 5.68, and I've got some numbers after that. Let me look at my calculator. 152. So now in this case, if they ask you to round it to, say, the nearest, I don't know, say, third decimal, it would be 5.682. The next area. Area of a circle is pi r squared. So if I find the area if you know the radius to be 5. So I'm going to say area equals 3.14 times 5 squared. And that comes out to be, and if they ask you to do this with significant digits, since you only have 2 decimal spots, that is what your answer should be. So I'm going to punch this in my calculator. 3.14 times 5 squared, which is 25. I get 78.5 exactly. So there's no use to have another decimal because we don't have any. Okay, what about if you find the area if you know the diameter? Well, right off the bat, if I see diameter, I know right off the bat the radius is half, which is 10 feet. So then I say area equals 3.14 times 10 squared, which comes out to be 314, and it's going to be feet squared radius. The first example I've needed to put in feet. So that's the feet squared. Should have put in feet squared on that one. So the last one, find R when you know the radius. Find R when you know the area. So in this case, I'm going to say 35.90 equals 3.14 times R. Then I'm going to divide by 3.14. So now I'm going to just type this in my calculator, 35.90 divided by 3.14. That should be, okay, this should be, I forgot the R squared. It should be R squared. I must have skipped over that. So then this 35.90 divided by 3.14, you should get roughly like 11.43. Then that's R squared, so you have to take the square root. So the square root of 11.43, and I get 3.38. And your unit would be inches since it's a length. Okay, now I'm going to finish this lesson with 2 examples Okay, first example. I might have this board or piece of metal that's an 80 by 40, but I've got two circles that are cut into it. Okay, one circle has a diameter of 8 centimeters, the other one has a diameter of 20 centimeters. So I want to find out what the area is. Well, area right off the bat is going to be 80 times 40. That will be the area of this block or this metal piece. But then I had to subtract the area from the circles. So remember my area from the circles, the first area, I'm going to take half. So remember, area equals pi r squared. So my first one, I'm going to have pi, so 3.14 times 4 squared. So I'm going to subtract it. And then I'm going to subtract by the second one. The second one is going to be 3.14. Half of 20 is 10, so it'll be 10 squared. So you should come up with area equals 2835.76 centimeters squared. Now, if they ask you, just from this diagram and stuff, they may ask you for significant digits or something. Remember, significant digits, and you're by multiplying, you only have two. The 80 and the 4, and then you also have the 8 and the 10 as well. So, I mean, if it asks you for that, you could say that would be 2,800 centimeters squared. They could ask you something like, okay, round to the nearest, say maybe 10th, 10. So that'd be like 2840. So just it depends on what they ask you. Next, I got this pill shaped. Okay, I've got a 50.5 inches that goes across. And what I want you to recognize, it's from this point. And then I've got this, the side going 30 inches up. So now I want the area of the whole shape. Okay, to find the area, the first thing we need to do is we need to take the 30.0 times 50.5, and then we need to add it to both these semicircles. So now, since I have, and we know area is pi r squared. Now, look at this. Think about this for a second. This does make a whole circle, this both ends. So what I'm going to do is multiply by pi 3.14 times the radius squared, which is half of 30, which is 15. So my area is going to be, I'm going to say 30 times 50.5, and I get 1515. But then I want to take 3.14 times 15 squared, get 706.5. I'm going to add those together. Which is inches squared. Now, they can also ask you another thing I didn't put at the beginning because I didn't want to throw two things at you at once. They can ask you, what is the perimeter? Well, the perimeter is, take a look at this. I've got 50.5. I've got another 50.5. But then I need to know the perimeter of both of these. But notice how we did in area, they form a circle. So since they form a circle, I mean, and we know the diameter, you could say circumference is pi d. So all you have to do is plus 3.14 times d. Okay, if you add 50.5 plus 50.5, you get 101. And then if you take 3.14 times 30, you get 94.2, which comes out to be 195.2 inches. Okay, so for my Math 116 class, homework number 8 on WebAssign. Please, at any point during this video, like I said before, please go back and review as many times as you want. You can even go back and just pause it. So for my class, for the next section, we're going to be talking about going over section 12.7, which deals with prisms. Thank you for listening.